Okay, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today's topic is with regards to a major misconception that there lies within the field of entrepreneurship. And this is something that mostly new entrepreneurs that are really high on their expectations of their journey have, rather than the ones that are well into their journey already. So when you're starting off, you're really enthusiastic about whatever you want to do. This is with regards to anything, and you're not aware of the realities of the situation that you're about to put yourself into. So it's normal for you as a beginner to have these really high hopes and this fairy tale expectation of what it means to be an entrepreneur. Like, most people assume that entrepreneurship is about making lots of money, and that can be true if you're a successful entrepreneur, but for majority of the people, they end up falling out of the entrepreneurship route because they're only focused on making money. And that's really what I want to focus on today, is that why people fall out of their entrepreneurship journey, why they fall off that journey, and how you can avoid it, how you can avoid falling into that trap. So what is entrepreneurship to you anyways? What do you think it is? You probably think that it's about making lots of money, opening up companies and making sure that they're high in revenue and they're making really good profits, right? But that's actually not what it's about. People assume that that's what entrepreneurship is about, but it's actually about solving problems for people. And the more you get into this entrepreneurship journey, the more you'll understand this reality, is that the people who are successful in this career of sort, they aren't successful because they know how to make a lot of money, or they had some high ticket sales, or yada yada yada, but it's actually because they focus on solving a problem for the people first. After that, of course, they can steer away and make it more money based and just give out their product so that they can make more and more money. Cough cough, some company, you know what I'm talking about. But for someone like you that is starting on their journey right now, it's better for you to focus on what kind of problems you can solve for the people, rather than thinking about what's a field where I can make the most amount of money from. Like, you look at these really big companies or these really big motivational speakers like Gary Vee or someone like Alex Hormozi, who is well off in their business, who are well off into their businesses, and they are preaching how to become an entrepreneur. I'm sure that even they would agree with me that, or I'm sure, what I mean is, I'm sure you can find videos of them online where they tell you that it's not about making money, at least in the beginning, it's not. It's about solving a problem for the people. You have to provide value before you can get anything in return from whoever you're selling to or whoever you want to sell to. Like, Alex Hormozi gives this really good example again and again in his videos, where he says that if he were to open let's say a cookie shop, he wouldn't just open it the next day or the next month. What he would do first is he'd make hundreds of batches of cookies. He'd go out there every day and he would give the cookies for free to the people, and he'd ask them, what do you think is good about the cookie? What would you want improvements in, and how can I make it better? He'd do that for a year straight, and then after that year of feedback where he's like, okay, this is the kind of cookie that tastes the most delicious to the people, he would then go ahead and make that type of cookie, and then he'd open up his cookie shop. Most of the people, what we do is we come up with an idea and we just assume, just because we like it or just because we heard it on the internet, that now everybody else must want this product, when that's actually not the case. Even if the product is good, or you might think it's good, what everybody wants and needs and what you want or need are two different things. Just because, like for example, just because I think this blue water bottle is good, that doesn't mean that I should go ahead and make every bottle that's blue. I'm sure there's people out there that would like a red water bottle or a purple one, or just a no color white one, right? So the point I'm trying to make is, before you open up a business or before you try to sell a product, you have to make sure that there is some scope for that product to exist in the market. And one of the things that you do not want to fall in the trap of is trying to come up with something that's trending. Because I know people who do this, like personally I know someone that does this, and what he does is he picks up the latest trend that's on the internet, something like on Amazon, or let's say Walmart, Target, whatever, and he buys a big load of that product. He buys it in a batch and he sells that individually, which makes sense, right? You do that, but it's a good idea, but it's only good for the short term. In the long run, you need to come up with something that you can improve on, something that you can sell like forever. Something like, let's say this brand that I'm wearing, it's Forever 21. Yeah, they pick up trendy things, they come up with trends for clothes, but what they are is actually a clothing outlet, right? Overall, they're a clothing outlet, so of course they're going to change their products from time to time, but the name stays the same. What they did, what these clothing brands do, for example, is they open up their brand, they set a certain price range to their products so that people are like, oh, okay, if I'm thinking about this brand, this is how much it's going to cost roughly, and this is the type of item that I can get from, or this is the quality of the item that I can get from the store. So this is like really middle class type of thing. Forever 21, H&M, these companies, they've been for God knows how many years. I'm sure it's been a few decades for sure, and they make their new products seasonally, but they still are a company, right? They're a brand. So what you want to do, if you want to do something like that, is you want to build a brand. But if you are thinking about doing something like Amazon drop shipping or FBA or that sort of stuff, then that's only good for the short run. In the long run, you have to understand that if you want to play with the big people, if you want to be in that league, then you have to come up with your own brand. It's got to be a company that you can actually build upon over the course of the years. So every year that goes by, your company is supposed to grow. The business model stays the same, but the only difference is that with each continuous year, your company gets feedback from the customers on what they like more, what they like less, and you adjust your quality of product, and you adjust what kind of things they like, what they dislike. You adjust according to these things, and then every season or every year, like Apple does, Apple's a kind of a bad example in my opinion, because it doesn't seem like they care a lot about what the consumers want. They just know that they have a high brand now, so they can just sell to people whatever they want to. So let's not talk about that. But let's stick with clothing brands for now, because I think they're a great example of what I'm trying to get at. Is that, let's say you come up with your first shipment of jackets or coats, right? And they do well enough. They do just okay. They're not gonna do great because that's like quite rare, but still, let's say that they do okay. What you want to do at this point is you want feedback. Well, we want to reach out to the customers that bought your item, and you want to ask them how they feel about it. what are their thoughts, what would they like improvements on, and you have to tell them that, okay, if I were to make this change and the price would go up by this percentage, would you be willing to buy this item if it was a little bit more expensive than it is at the moment? And most likely, I think if not at that time, but over time, if you keep asking for these feedbacks, I'm sure that you're gonna keep getting positive feedbacks just because of the fact that you're reaching out to your customers and you're asking them about feedback in real time, what they generally want, what they actually like in the product that you're selling, which is something that nobody else does. Like, they can go to a really big brand like Michael Kors, but Michael Kors is not gonna ask them, what would you like improvements on, or what exactly is your type of cloth that you like, or what quality of a coat or shirt would you want to wear, right? They're not gonna go out of their way to ask their customers these minute details, which the customer is really what's the word I'm looking for? For lack of a better word, let's say attracted to. Okay, so this is something that you can take to your advantage. The fact that your competition, these big companies, do not have the capacity or do not have the time or capability anymore to reach out to their customers and ask them individually, what are the improvements that we can make in real time in order to come up with a better product for you specifically. When you do that, I promise you, the word of mouth is gonna go through the roof eventually, and the people are gonna keep coming in, they're gonna keep buying your product, and as long as you're consistent with improving your product, you are gonna eventually make it to the big leagues. Now, I know that's gonna take quite a while. It's gonna take a few years, if not maybe more than a decade or two, who knows. But that's the whole thing about entrepreneurship, right? You can't be thinking about it and you can't be thinking about entrepreneurship and then go, okay, I'm gonna try to make millions in a year or 2 or 5. That's not how it works. In the beginning, you're most likely not gonna be making any money. If any money, you're most likely gonna be spending a lot of money in order to make sure or to gather the details about what it is that your target audience is actually wanting to buy. What is it that your target audience wants to buy and wants to put their money on, wants to spend their money on, right? So yeah, coming back to what I was originally talking about, which is that a misconception that people have about entrepreneurship is, or one of the things that people have a misconception about when it comes to entrepreneurship is that people assume that it's really easy, it's a walk in the park, and that it's all about just making money, but it's actually quite the opposite. If you are in it to make money, then I promise you, you are not gonna last long. You're probably gonna burn out, or you're gonna quit within a month or two, maximum a year or two, and that's it, you're done. Because it's not a game about making the most amount of money that you can. It's about solving the problem of a specific group of people to the best of your ability. When you do that, when you do the latter, which is solving problems for your customers, that's when they return, that's when they refer you to more people. And once you start getting more and more customers in, that's when you can think about the pricing of your product. That's when you can think about, okay, I have people coming in, they clearly like what I'm selling to them. How about I give them a premium package where now they can get even more of this quality, but for a certain price. Like, this is what many YouTubers do, which is a really good business model, right? What they do is they give value on YouTube. Of course, they make money from the ad revenue, but the viewer isn't really paying anything. Like, you would not be paying to watch this video. This is what they do as well. They give lots of value on YouTube for like a year or two, and then eventually a lot of them start their own school community or any sort of community. It can be anywhere, it doesn't have to be on school, but they open up a community where now you can pay them in order to individually interact with them and gain more value from them in whatever field they're offering value in. So it's the same with any other business model. First you have to give, and then eventually you take, and when you start taking, it's gonna exponentiate on an amount that's probably unimaginable to you, at least at the moment. Now with that being said, this doesn't mean that you cannot open up a business where you do charge from your very first customer, or actually no, never mind. Because what I was gonna say is you can probably open up something like a coffee shop and then start charging right away. But the example that I gave before of the cookie batch, that's about the same thing as a coffee shop. So I don't think that would work anyways. I mean, it could work, but you'd be very limited to what you have to offer to the people. Like you could open up a coffee shop today and I'm sure you're gonna start getting customers, but how far could you make that go if you're just like in it for the money and you only care for making money off of your customers? Like if you look at these coffee shops around my area, at least, like there's a lot of competition and there's a lot of them. All of them are working though, and that's because each one of them has its own type of environment to the store or the location, right? So if you have anything new to offer and you're serving it in person, I guess you can survive as a small business. But if you want to make more than that, if you want to make actual good money, like a proper business or a proper entrepreneurial venture, something like, let's say, Michael Kors. I know I keep bringing up Michael Kors, but it's something that I can think of right off the top of my head. But anyways, you get the point. It's that's like a local, that's like a global brand, right? Michael Kors, Nike, Louis Vuitton, whatever, you name it. All these are like globally known, or even Tim Hortons, because we're talking about coffee. Let me give you an example of a coffee shop that's globally known. So Tim Hortons, I'm sure they opened up locally at first, but then they decided to brand themselves and give out their franchisee to other people. And that's something that I see many small businesses be afraid of doing, is that they're too afraid to let other people run their company, let alone sell out their franchisee to someone else. And that's why most small businesses stay small businesses, is because their thinking is so small. They don't think beyond themselves, or they don't think beyond whatever they have built or their ego. I mean, that's an egotistical thing. Like, think about it. You're not willing to sell what you have to someone else just because you're afraid that now they'll be using your name, or they'll be getting a little bit of credit for what you built. Like, yeah, you built it, you did good. Now someone wants to come along and make your business, your brand grow even more, and you say no to that. Why? Just because you won't be involved in the rest of the decisions for the most part, because now everything's got to be a certain way, right? So let's say Tim Hortons again. If you go to any Tim Hortons, they give the same thing. It's the same orders, and they're designed the same way on the inside too. But if you go at a local coffee shop, then they're gonna have their own unique style, right? But what you notice about these local coffee shops is that they only stay local. They never rise to a global scale. There are a few other coffee shops these days around my area which are growing. Alhamdulillah, I'm proud of them. I'm happy for them. They're growing around Texas and California and other states besides Michigan, and that's a good thing. That's the way you should think about your own small business as well, if you have one. So let's say you sell, what could you sell in a small business? Let's say you have a food truck or you sell hamburgers. Instead of keeping those burgers to your local sorry guys. Need some water. Give me a second. So back to what I was saying. Let's say your specialty is in making burgers. Instead of you only keeping those burgers for your local community, what you can do is you can make a franchisee out of it and open it in different states. That way you'll have some sort of percentage in your own, well, it's going to be your company, so obviously you're going to own it, but you can give some of that percentage away to someone else who is running the company in the other state. Sure, you're not going to make 100% of the profits, but you are going to be making more than you currently are, so it's really not a bad trade. If anything, it's a win-win for you and for the person that's opening it in the other state. And you can keep doing that and build your own franchisee under whatever name you want to call your burger place, or whatever you open. You decide the name, you decide the way it's going to be designed. The only thing that's going to be in the hands of the other people is probably the way they run it, and they're going to build a system. This is what happens when you open a franchisee. You have to come up with a system which can be copied and pasted into every single location that you open your franchisee at. This is the reason why majority of the people with a entrepreneurial mindset do not want to like help out other coffee owners or like other small businesses, because they think, oh, I want to have my own thought, I want to have my own unique twist to whatever I want to open, right? And they don't think about the long run. Which is that, okay, if I buy this franchisee and I open it, or I buy this local small business and I'm turning it into a franchisee, and then I systemize everything and then I make other people manage it, I could be making more money, right? But nobody thinks like that. Everybody's in it for themselves. And that's not what you want to think like. If you are someone that's interested in opening something that can be sold in person, then this is the approach I would recommend that you take. Just look at any local restaurant or cafe that's already doing well, and talk to the manager or talk to the owner of that company and tell them, hey, I want to turn your local restaurant or whatever cafe, whatever it is, I want to turn that into a franchisee, and this is how it's going to be. And you talk to them, you come up with a deal with them, and you may not have the money, so this is a problem, right? For that, you have to go out of your way to make some money. So besides that, if you do not have the money to do that, what I recommend is you learn a skill which you can make money off of, just by individually selling, being like an individual contractor, or I don't know what you call a freelancer. Yeah, just by being a freelancer, you can make money off of that skill. You could do that. That's a really good idea. You could sell your stuff or sell your services on Upwork or Fiverr, and that's a separate route you could take. And then after that, you can slowly build the money that you need in order to come up with your actual startup or your big plan that's gonna expand over the course of a decade or two or a few decades. So yeah, hopefully you gained some sort of value from this video. I'm sorry if I repeated myself. I wanted to get this out the way and let you guys know what I was thinking, whatever was on my mind. So if you found some sort of value in this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more content ahead. My name is Ahsan Berg, and I'm currently just like starting off on my entrepreneurship journey. Currently I'm doing my master's. Right after that, inshallah, I will be starting something soon, and before that I just want to like give value to the viewers on YouTube and see whatever value I can give. I want to give it out, and just the things that I'm learning throughout my journey, or even before my journey starts. Anything that I learned that's new or that's I feel like is helpful, I try to come up on camera and share it with you guys. So hopefully you gained some sort of value from this video, and inshallah I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.